Introduction to the galactic setting. In the vast expanse of space, where stars twinkled like distant diamonds scattered across a velvet canvas, there existed a rickety space station known as the Drift. Orbiting a gas giant in the Andromeda Galaxy, it was a melting pot of species, cultures, and stories, each more bizarre than the last. The Drift was a hub for traders, adventurers, and those simply looking to escape their pasts. Amidst this chaotic yet vibrant environment sat a human named Dave, nursing a cup of Xeno-Java, a bitter concoction that was far from Earth's finest coffee, but served its purpose in this alien realm. As Dave leaned back in his chair, he glanced across the table at his companion, Zix-Nar, an octopod-like alien with vibrant skin that changed colors with every emotion. Zix-Nar was an oddity even among oddities, his tentacles flickering through shades of green and purple as he attempted to process Dave's latest quip about trusting Glorians with lunch credits. "Why do you humans always make everything into a joke?" Zix-Nar gurgled, his voice a mix of curiosity and confusion. "Your species faces extinction at every turn, yet you laugh." Dave chuckled, taking another swig from his cup. "It's how we cope. You see, we humans have this incredible knack for survival. It's like we're cockroaches in the cosmic kitchen. No matter how many times we get squashed, we always find a way to crawl back." Zix-Nar's eye stalks wobbled as he processed this information. "But how did your kind go from being mere prey in this galaxy to whatever it is you are now?" With that question hanging in the air like a challenge, Dave leaned forward, his grin widening. "Oh boy, buckle up. It's story time." Zix-Nar blinked in confusion. "I do not understand. I am not wearing a buckle." "Just listen," Dave replied with an amused shake of his head. "This is a tale that spans centuries, a saga of humanity's rise from being the galaxy's punching bag to becoming its unexpected champions. Once upon a time in this very galaxy, not so far away, humanity burst onto the interstellar scene like an enthusiastic puppy at a cat convention. Wide-eyed and full of wonder, humans were eager to make friends with every tentacled or gaseous being they encountered. They approached other species with open arms and hearts full of hope, ready for cultural exchanges and interspecies karaoke nights. However, the rest of the galaxy had different plans for humanity. First came the Dolan, blue-skinned beings with 4 arms who looked like someone had crossbred a Smurf with a bodybuilder. They took one look at Earth and saw it as their personal treasure trove. "Hey there, little humans," they grinned with teeth so white they practically glowed in the dark. "We're here to borrow some resources. You don't mind if we take a few million tons of your iron and helium, right?" Naively optimistic, humanity responded with enthusiasm. "Sure. My casa is su casa." They didn't realize that universal translators often butchered idioms from different languages. So off went the Dolan, stripping half of Australia bare, though most Australians didn't even notice, and zooming off into space without so much as a thank you note. When humanity finally mustered up the courage to ask for payment, they were met with raucous laughter from their new alien acquaintances. "Payment?" They guffawed. "Here's your payment." And just like that, they left Earth feeling like children who had just had their lunch money stolen by bullies. But surely that was just one bad apple in this cosmic fruit basket. Humanity thought optimistically until they encountered the Sleen Empire, a race resembling elongated lizards who had mastered cruelty like an art form. "Oh humans," they cooed sweetly while plotting their demise. "We adore your culture. Come live on our world." Excited by this invitation for cultural exchange, humanity sent 100,000 of its best and brightest into Sleen territory, dreaming of intergalactic potluck dinners and cultural enlightenment. Imagine their shock when they received a collect call months later from one of their ambassadors, sounding like he'd been gargling gravel. Funny story. Remember how you invited us? Turns out your definition of life is quite different from ours." Humanity was outraged when they learned that their people were being held captive, forced to dig for precious space quartz in squalid conditions. They demanded immediate release while threatening everything from economic sanctions to strongly worded letters. The Sleen response was chilling. "Oh sure, we'll send them right over." And then they launched 100,000 missiles toward Earth. At this point in history, one would think humanity would have finally said enough is enough. But no. Along came the Jandis Collective, sentient ferns claiming to be premier healers who offered sympathy amidst chaos. "Oh, you poor things. Don't worry. We have just what you need." Trusting as ever, humanity accepted their help only to discover too late that they had been unwitting guinea pigs for an experimental biological weapon. People began dying, not peacefully but screaming as their organs liquefied under horrific conditions. Faced with betrayal after betrayal, humanity collectively threw up its hands in defeat. "Screw this noise. We're going home." They locked down Earth tighter than ever before and put up a giant "Do Not Disturb" sign visible across the galaxy. For 2 long years, Earth remained silent while other races laughed at what they perceived as humanity sulking or perhaps even wiping themselves out, a fate not entirely out of character for them. Then one day, out of nowhere, every communication device across the galaxy lit up with an ominous message from Earth. "We welcomed you with open arms. Some laughed at us, and that is fine. But if you betrayed us, this is your only warning. Run." You'd think after everything done to them that other races might take this threat seriously. Instead, they laughed it off as another silly human tantrum. But then something extraordinary happened. One by one, entire worlds began going dark. The Sleen Empire's core worlds vanished without explanation. When scout ships finally mustered up courage to investigate what had happened to those smug lizard people who once ruled over them all, they found planets scorched to glass, with not a single living Sleen left behind. The galaxy was stunned into silence. Surely this had to be some fluke. Maybe humanity had gotten lucky. But then reports began filtering through about strange new diseases ravaging Jandis worlds, leaves falling off while roots rotted away, all while entire populations cried out for help. That's when realization dawned. This wasn't luck. It wasn't an accident. This was humanity serving up cold revenge on those who had wronged them. And thus began humanity's saga, a tale woven through betrayal yet threaded with resilience, a story still unfolding among stars yet untold, the early encounters with alien races. As the echoes of my story faded into the background, Zix-Nar's skin shimmered with a kaleidoscope of colors, reflecting his bewilderment and intrigue. "So you're saying that after centuries of being treated like cosmic doormats, humanity just decided to flip the script?" His eyes widened, and I could see the gears turning in his octopod brain. "Exactly," I replied, leaning forward. "But it wasn't always that straightforward. The road to our resurgence was paved with missteps and misunderstandings. Let me take you back to the early days of our interstellar encounters, those moments that shaped our destiny. The galactic welcome mat. When humanity first ventured into the cosmos, we were like children in a candy store, wide-eyed and eager to explore every corner of the universe. Our initial encounters were marked by a sense of wonder and excitement as we reached out to alien races with open arms. We believed in diplomacy and cooperation. After all, we were all part of this vast galactic tapestry. The first race we encountered after our leap into space travel were the Dolan. They were a curious bunch, blue-skinned beings with 4 arms and an attitude that could only be described as overzealous. Their home planet was lush and vibrant, filled with strange flora and fauna that made Earth look like a barren wasteland in comparison. "Hey there, little humans." They greeted us one day, their white teeth gleaming like stars against the backdrop of their blue skin. "We're here to borrow some resources." At first, we were flattered by their interest. "Sure. What do you need?" we replied, unaware that we were about to make a monumental mistake. The Dolan took everything they could get their hands on: iron, helium, even water, stripping half of Australia bare in the process. We thought they were just enthusiastic traders, Little did we know we were being robbed blind. When we finally asked for payment, they laughed uproariously. Payment? Here's your payment. They left us standing there, dumbfounded and empty-handed. The Sleen Empire, a lesson in trust. After our disastrous dealings with the Dolan, one would think humanity would have learned its lesson. But no. Enter the Sleen Empire, a race of elongated lizards who had perfected the art of manipulation and cruelty. Oh humans, they cooed sweetly when they first approached us. We adore your culture. Come live on our world. Excited by this invitation for cultural exchange, we sent 100,000 of our best and brightest to their home planet. The idea was to foster goodwill and learn from one another's cultures, perhaps even enjoy a few intergalactic potluck dinners. Imagine our horror when a few months later, we received a desperate collect call from one of our ambassadors, sounding like he'd been gargling gravel. Funny story, he croaked. Turns out their definition of living is quite different from ours. What followed was a frantic demand for the immediate release of our people, a demand met with laughter from the Sleen. Oh sure, we'll send them right over. They mocked before launching 100,000 missiles toward Earth. The Jandis Collective. A false sense of security. Just when it seemed humanity had hit rock bottom, along came the Jandis Collective. Sentient ferns claiming to be premier healers in the galaxy. They offered sympathy amidst chaos. Oh, you poor things, don't worry. We have just what you need. Desperate for help after the Sleen debacle, we accepted their assistance without hesitation. At first, their treatments appeared miraculous. Burns healed and radiation sickness vanished, but soon it became clear that their intentions were far from benevolent. People began dying, not peacefully but screaming in agony as their organs liquefied under horrific conditions. It turned out that we had unwittingly become guinea pigs for their new biological weapon. Faced with betrayal after betrayal, humanity collectively threw up its hands in defeat. Screw this noise. We're going home. We locked down Earth tighter than ever before and put up a giant "Do Not Disturb" sign visible across the galaxy. The silence of isolation. For 2 long years, Earth remained silent while other races laughed at what they perceived as humanity sulking, or perhaps even wiping ourselves out, a fate not entirely out of character for us. During this time, rumors spread throughout the galaxy about our fate. Some speculated that we had gone extinct, while others believed we were simply sulking in our cosmic corner. Then one day, out of nowhere, every communication device across the galaxy lit up with an ominous message from Earth. We welcomed you with open arms. Some laughed at us. And that is fine. But if you betrayed us, this is your only warning. Run. You'd think other races would take this threat seriously. Instead, they laughed it off as another silly human tantrum. For a while, life continued as usual among the stars. The Dolan tried to make amends by sending messages of apology, while others mocked us behind closed doors. The reckoning begins. But then something extraordinary happened. One by one, entire worlds began going dark. The Sleen Empire's core worlds vanished without explanation. When scout ships finally mustered up courage to investigate what had happened to those smug lizard people who once ruled over them, they found planets scorched to glass, with not a single living Sleen left behind. The galaxy was stunned into silence. Surely this had to be some fluke. Maybe humanity had gotten lucky. But then reports began filtering through about strange new diseases ravaging Jandis worlds, leaves falling off while roots rotted away, all while entire populations cry out for help. That's when realization dawned. This wasn't luck. It wasn't an accident. This was humanity serving up cold revenge on those who had wronged them. As whispers spread through alien communities about humanity's unexpected resurgence and newfound power, fear began to seep into hearts once filled with mockery. The Dolan realized they were probably next on humanity's hit list and scrambled to make amends. They offered reparations for what they had stolen. They sent messages of apology, and for a moment it seemed like peace might be restored. But then came the reckoning. A dozen massive ships appeared out of nowhere in orbit around the Dolan homeworld. No demands were made, no ultimatums given. The ships simply opened fire and didn't stop until Dolan's world lay in ruins. A new era dawns. And just like that, humanity transformed from being the galaxy's punching bag into its bogeyman. The species that other races use to scare their children. Eat your veggies or the humans will get you. Over centuries, various races sent ships into human space, sometimes for war, sometimes for peace, but each time met with destruction. Ships suddenly lost power before disappearing without a trace. And so my tale continued, a saga woven through betrayal yet threaded with resilience, a story still unfolding among stars yet untold. The downfall of trust. As I settled back into my chair, the weight of centuries of interstellar history hung in the air like a dense fog. Zix-Nar's tentacles flickered with curiosity and concern, his colors shifting from vibrant hues to muted shades as he processed the complexities of humanity's past. So, you're saying that after all those betrayals, humanity still chose to engage with the galaxy again? He asked, his voice tinged with disbelief. Absolutely, I replied, leaning forward. But it wasn't a straightforward decision. The scars of betrayal run deep, and trust was something we had to rebuild from scratch. The aftermath of betrayal. The galaxy had been watching closely as humanity retreated into isolation. For 2 long years, we locked down Earth and shut ourselves off from interstellar relations. Other races laughed at our predicament, dismissing us as cosmic misfits who couldn't handle the harsh realities of galactic life. But what they didn't realize was that we were using that time to regroup, reflect, and prepare for the inevitable. During our silence, whispers spread through the cosmos about what had happened to the Selene Empire and the Jandis Collective. Their once thriving worlds became cautionary tales, warnings about the consequences of underestimating humanity. The Dolan, too, felt the ripple effects of our newfound resolve. They scrambled to make amends, but found themselves caught in a web of fear and uncertainty. When we finally broke our silence with that ominous message, "If you betrayed us, run," the galaxy was stunned. Some races took it seriously, others scoffed. But soon enough, they would learn that humanity had transformed from being the galaxy's punching bag into its vengeful specter. The galactic response. As reports filtered in about entire worlds going dark, first the Selene Empire's core worlds, and then the Jandis Collective, panic began to spread among other races. No one could fathom how a species once considered weak could unleash such devastation. The galaxy held its breath. Surely this was just a fluke. Surely humanity couldn't have developed such advanced weaponry after centuries of isolation. But it was true. We had spent those years not only recovering but also innovating. Our scientists had worked tirelessly to develop technologies that could rival any threat in the galaxy. When we finally emerged from our self-imposed exile, we were armed not just with weapons, but with a fierce determination to protect what was ours. A new threat. Then came a race so ruthless, they made even the Selene look like benevolent guardians. They swept across the galaxy like a storm, annihilating any race that dared to resist their dominion. Their idea of submission made slavery seem like a day at the beach. They demanded total obedience and left nothing but ashes in their wake. In this chaotic environment, alliances began to form and break at an alarming rate. Races that once scoffed at humanity now found themselves looking for allies in their fight against this new menace. And amidst this turmoil stood one lone pilot from a lesser-known race called the Bulan. Let's call him Bob. Bob knew he was walking into a death trap by venturing into human space. Our reputation for annihilating any approaching ships preceded us. But desperation has a way of driving beings to take risks they wouldn't normally consider. A desperate plea for help. Bob piloted his ship straight into human territory, fully expecting to be vaporized at any moment. As he entered our space, he braced himself for impact, but found nothing but silence. No alarms blared, no weapons fired. He pressed deeper into our territory until his engines finally cut out. At that moment, he did something utterly insane. He began yelling at us. He called us every name in the book: cowards, betrayers, you name it. He berated us for turning our backs on the galaxy when it needed us most. Who does this guy think he is? Zix-Nar exclaimed, his skin flickering with disbelief. Exactly. I laughed, recalling how we felt when Bob's voice echoed through our ship's communication systems. Here's this alien willing to die just for a chance to tell us off. How could we not love that? Bob's act of defiance struck a chord within us. It resonated deeply with our underdog spirit. We brought him aboard one of our ships and fixed up his vessel while asking him everything about what was happening outside our borders. The awakening. After listening to Bob's harrowing tales about this relentless conquest and destruction, something shifted within us, a collective awakening stirred by his bravery and desperation. We realized that we couldn't remain isolated any longer. We had a responsibility not just to ourselves, but also to those who were suffering under this tyranny. However, there was one hurdle left: bureaucracy. When your species has been isolationist for 600 years, you develop an extensive debate culture filled with committees and discussions that can last eons. We held countless meetings, debating whether or not we should intervene in galactic affairs again after everything we'd endured. But eventually, reason prevailed over indecision. We dusted off our old warships and upgraded them with 600 years' worth of technological advancements. We were ready, not just for war, but for redemption. The return to galactic affairs. Our return to galactic affairs is now legendary. How we appeared out of nowhere during an assault on a Bulan colony and turned the tide of battle in mere moments. Our ships opened communications with a simple message: "Pardon us, is this dance taken?" What followed was nothing short of spectacular, as we decimated fleets with precision strikes that left them reeling in shock. They were not used to being on the receiving end of such ferocity. Their attempts to regroup only led them deeper into chaos as we continued our assault. When they tried to invade Earth directly, let's just say it didn't end well for them. A new galactic order. After pushing back the Thea and neutralizing them as a galactic threat, everyone expected us to retreat back into isolation, to say, "You're welcome," and disappear again into obscurity. Instead, we stayed put, opening embassies and establishing trade routes across the galaxy. We even joined the Galactic Council, but insisted on bringing our own chairs. Because fool us once, shame on you. Fool us twice. Well, let's just say we weren't going down that road again without some serious precautions. Zix-Nar looked perplexed as he absorbed this information. But why would you do this after everything? I shrugged casually as I took another sip of my Xeno Java, grimacing at its bitterness once more. Because at the end of the day, that's who we are. We're suckers for second chances, even when common sense says we shouldn't be. Zix-Nar's tentacles curled thoughtfully as he processed my words. So you're saying humanity is now some sort of protector for other races? I chuckled softly before leaning back in my chair again. Protector? Nah, that's too noble. Think of us more like slightly unhinged bouncers. We'll let you party, but if you start causing trouble, we'll toss you out on your ass faster than you can say prime directive. Zix-Nar blinked in confusion at my reference, but nodded slowly as if beginning to understand humanity's complex nature, a nature forged through resilience and survival against all odds. And so I continued my tale, a saga woven through betrayal yet threaded with resilience, a story still unfolding among stars yet untold. The galactic reaction to human isolation. As I leaned back, the bitter taste of Xeno Java lingering on my tongue, Zix-Nar's interest only deepened. His tentacles flickered through a spectrum of colors, reflecting his intrigue and confusion. So, you're saying that after centuries of being treated like cosmic doormats, humanity decided to come back into the fold? He asked, his eye stalks wobbling with curiosity. Exactly. I replied, gesturing animatedly. But it wasn't just a simple decision. The scars of betrayal ran deep, and the galaxy was watching closely as we retreated into isolation. The silence of Earth. For 2 long years, Earth was silent. We had locked down our planet tighter than a drum, shutting off all communications and trade routes. The rest of the galaxy found this hilarious. They laughed at our plight, assuming we were sulking or perhaps even wiping ourselves out, a fate not entirely out of character for us. During this time, rumors spread throughout the cosmos about what had happened to us. Some races speculated that we had gone extinct, while others believed we were simply hiding from the harsh realities of galactic life. The Dolan, once our robbers, tried to make amends by sending messages of apology and reparations for what they had taken. But we remained silent. Whispers in the void. The galaxy buzzed with speculation. What happened to those little humans? They would ask among themselves. Did they finally realize they weren't cut out for this interstellar business? Others would snicker at the thought of humanity sulking in a corner like a child denied dessert. But as the months turned into years, something began to shift. Reports started filtering in about strange occurrences, worlds going dark without explanation. First came the Selene Empire's core worlds, 7 planets filled with smug lizard people who had once ruled over many races. One day they were there, the next, they were gone, silent as if swallowed by a cosmic void. When scout ships finally mustered the courage to investigate, they found atmospheres turned toxic and surfaces scorched to glass. Not a single living Selene could be found. The galaxy's reaction was unanimous. Holy, what just happened? The Jandis Collective's downfall. But that wasn't all. Soon after, reports emerged about the Jandis Collective. Those sentient ferns who had once offered us their supposed healing powers. A strange disease began spreading through their worlds. It started slow, but escalated quickly. Entire populations cried out for help as their leaves fell off, and their roots rotted while they were still alive. The realization dawned on everyone. This wasn't luck or coincidence. This was humanity serving up a cold dish of revenge with a side of, "How do you like them apples?" The Dolan, realizing they were likely next on humanity's hit list, scrambled to make amends, but found themselves paralyzed by fear. The reckoning. Then came the reckoning. A dozen massive ships appeared out of nowhere in orbit around the Dolan homeworld. No demands were made. No ultimatums given. The ships simply opened fire and didn't stop until Dolan's world lay in ruins. In that moment, humanity transformed from being the galaxy's punching bag into its bogeyman. The species that other races use to scare their children. Eat your veggies or the humans will get you. For over 600 years, we had been written off as cosmic misfits. Now we were feared and respected. A transformation that sent shockwaves through every corner of the galaxy. A new galactic order. After pushing back against the Thi and neutralizing them as a galactic threat, everyone expected us to retreat back into isolation, to say, "You're welcome," and disappear again into obscurity. Instead, we stayed put, opening embassies and establishing trade routes across the galaxy. We even joined the Galactic Council, but insisted on bringing our own chairs. Because fool us once. Shame on you. Fool us twice. We weren't going down that road again without some serious precautions. Zixnar looked perplexed as he absorbed this information. But why would you do this after everything? I shrugged casually as I took another sip of my Xeno Java, grimacing at its bitterness once more. Because at the end of the day, that's who we are. We're suckers for second chances, even when common sense says we shouldn't be. Humanity's role in galactic affairs. As we integrated back into galactic society, many older races still didn't understand us. They looked at humans and saw a naive species that had once been taken advantage of. A species that could easily be manipulated again if given half a chance. But what they didn't realize was that humanity had learned from its past mistakes. We were no longer the gullible beings who welcomed every alien with open arms. We had become cautious yet fiercely protective allies willing to fight for those who couldn't fight for themselves. We established new alliances with races that had also suffered under oppressive regimes, the Bulan among them, and together we formed a coalition dedicated to maintaining peace throughout the galaxy. A new era begins. In this new era, humanity became known not just as warriors but also as mediators, bridging gaps between warring factions and fostering dialogue where once there was only hatred. We became known for our resilience and determination, not just to survive, but to thrive alongside other races. And so it was that humanity transformed from being seen as weak to becoming an essential part of galactic politics, a role we embraced wholeheartedly, while remaining ever vigilant against those who might seek to exploit our kindness again. As I concluded my tale, Zix-Nar's skin shimmered with admiration and respect, a rare sight among his kind. So you're saying humanity is now some sort of protector for other races? I laughed, leaning back in my chair again. Protector? Nah, that's too noble. Think of us more like slightly unhinged bouncers. We'll let you party, but if you start causing trouble, we'll toss you out on your ass faster than you can say Prime Directive. Zix-Nar blinked in confusion at my reference, but nodded slowly as if beginning to understand humanity's complex nature, a nature forged through resilience and survival against all odds. And so I continued my tale, a saga woven through betrayal yet threaded with resilience, a story still unfolding among stars yet untold.